Okay, so the screen recording is on now. So what we need to do is we need to put all this information, the DNS information in all these places here, okay? So let's see here, Ansible master, right? So let me cancel this and let me clear it. And if I do ping, what is the so if I do client 5, okay, so generally what you should do is you should follow this path here. Okay, so 2, 3, so it's pinging 3, 4. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is, the good practice is to have all the host the information regarding DNS primary, dig. Okay, so this is from here all the way to here. Okay, every system, if you have 1 million servers, they should have all this information in there, okay? Normally what you do is you bake this information in. You create one system and then, you know how we are cloning here, we go in here and we right click and clone as at our convenience, right? What you normally do is you set up from here to here this information on one system and continue cloning, okay? That way all that information carries over. All you have to do is change the host name. So I'm gonna make a note here. So all of them are working. So let's see here. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is so I changed the host name here, right? So what else I did after that? I hope you guys are doing history, using the history command quite often. Is that true?
Yes.
I use it every day. There is no day in my life when I'm working I never use history here. In fact, you could also go in there and see what other people have done in there, and based on that you could take other actions, okay? So it's very important you use history. It is very good, it's very nice, and you will use it quite often here, but for some reason the history is not showing up here. Why? Let me exit out of here. So I have some history here, but it's not showing me everything I did here, did I? So now let's see if this is going to work using so I'm going to say vi DNS name, DNS names servers. Okay, I'm gonna paste it in here. CLIENT01. So now let's run our command here and see if it's going to work here. So instead of host name here, I'm going to give it a name here of DNS servers. Oh man. Oh, okay. Okay, so what is happening here now is once you're using, we are not using IP address here, right? We are using the host name. So once we are using the host name, you have to run this thing again. Okay, so let's see if it's gonna work with the SSH keygen. We already did this. All we have to do is SSH copy. Okay, so I'm gonna do this here. SSH. So I'm gonna client01.gmpt.com at yes. Okay, and okay, so it worked. I think let's try just doing the regular SSH. Okay, we are in there. It's working. Guys, this thing is working just like it's working on the production environment at any other place.
Could you explain, please, what this is doing?
Okay, yeah, hold on. So what I'm doing is I am, you know how you have to do make a handshake? I'm setting up the SSH password list, this part here. I'm going to put it in notes here. Don't worry about it. So establish SSH password here, this part. We did it with the IP address here, right?
Yeah, you're remoting into the server, right?
Yeah, we did with the IP address. Now we are using the host name. So it's stopping you. That's a built-in security feature. Just because you use somebody's phone number to connect to the server, if you're using somebody's name, then it's gonna say, oh, hold up, you will still need to verify because you're coming in as using the name instead of coming in as the host name. So now what we did was we established the connection using the IP address here earlier, so it wasn't bugging us. Now we need to establish the connection using the IP address. So since we have already established the key, we're gonna have to establish the key using say we are using the same key to establish using the name. Okay, is that gonna help? All right, I'm still here. Ask me a question.
Using the name of the server?
Yeah, we are using name instead of IP address, right?
Right.
Yeah. See, I'm putting in names here. In fact, let me clear this screen so that you could see it better. So I ran 3, now I'm going to run 4. Yes. So I'm establishing passwordless. That's what the idea is.
Yeah.
5. Yes. Now if I do only SSH, normally if you connect to any server in the world, it will ask you for the password, right?
Right.
So if I hit enter, it's going to ask the password or not?
No.
No, very good. Why? Because we have established the passwordless. So this is one of the very important things you would be working to set up a passwordless connection here. Okay, it's a big security feature, security hole. If you set this up and wrong people have access to it, then they have access without any limits. Why? Because you have a root access. See, I connected without it prompting me for the password. Okay, let me exit. So this is really important here, guys. You must always try to protect the root password. Okay, don't I think I made it clear. Don't be just sharing root password with anybody. If somebody says, give me the root password, you said the good answer is open the request. Talk to your manager and open the request. So
Yeah.
In
Mr. Zafar,
fact,
so
yeah, go ahead.
so when does us being able to remote into from one DNS server, the DNS primary server, the Ansible master, does that have to do with the traffic that the server distributes to the other ones, or is it just to run commands?
You're talking about the DNS?
The Ansible is control over other servers. It's not necessarily distribution
No.
of like
If
traffic,
Ansible
right?
server goes down, nothing happens. If DNS server goes down, the company is losing millions of dollars a minute.
Okay, it's just so Ansible is just so that we can run scripts
Yeah, Ansible for us.
and remote.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not for the application. Application team might do that too. But the DNS server is really, very highly guarded, and it's like layers of security on it. The DNS primary and secondary. And based on how it is set up, what they do is, it's possible if the DNS goes down, the whole company goes down. So what they might want to do is they might want to split up DNS servers in many smaller networks, so that if DNS get hacked, it's just affecting that part of the network instead of affecting like the entire network system.
Right. Okay.
Would a company ever have to like restart their DNS server for anything or no? They always just keep them up.
Keep them up, man. It's been monitored by white hats. I think I told you what the white hats are, the security people.
Yes.
There's a InfoSec, information security. They are the one is always monitoring the threats, monitoring the news around the world and everything. In fact, remember we had this solar winds in the news. We got hacked, all the DODs and everything, not too long ago, right? Few days ago, few weeks ago. Anybody remember that in news?
Yes.
Solar winds. They use this as a monitoring tool, and this one got hacked. And almost everybody used this. Solar winds as like a monitoring tool. And if you go into your news here, it's a big news in IT world. I mean, if a Pentagon got hacked, I mean, it's pretty nasty. Microsoft could replace. Yeah. So in my company, it didn't affect it, but we were using solar company, so we have to take corrective actions, get rid of SolarWind right away, and then have a backup plan and everything. And then all the passwords were changed overnight. Everything was changed. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, if you want to go into security, yeah, you could do that. But you will need really, really strong Linux experience. Anybody who's working in a security area will have a Linux experience. Okay. Okay, so that's enough of that, and let's see if this is gonna work. I'm gonna this time this in here. I put in I put in the names here instead of IP address. Okay. So let's see if it's gonna work with the names. IP address, we know it worked here. So once we do this and hit enter here,
So without using SSH copy ID, you can
nope,
root in through
nope,
the name.
you will never be able to do that. That's when you have to have. Uh, so I spent good amount of time here. So I would highly recommend how the passwordless works. And in here, this is best document you could ever find. Okay, how this is ever working here. So this is like a regular SSH. If you keep doing it SSH, it will ask you for the password each time. Now, if you want like passwordless SSH here, if you're configuring like 1,000 servers, you're not going to be sitting there and putting in password for 1,000 servers, okay?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense here. So you could see how big this is a security hole, right? You're connecting to a production server which is holding transactions, financial transactions like stock market or whatever, and you are connecting SSH. You should just imagine how big of a deal this is. But you need this for you to manage thousands of servers here. Okay, so that's where your honesty and all this thing comes in. In the end, it's just a human trust factor. Okay, that's what it's relying on. If I could go into to my company and make a lot of damage. It's not gonna be. I mean, nobody's gonna be happy about it. It could press some criminal charges. So what I'm saying here is, yeah, understand how SSH is working. Once you have this, then what you're doing is, because the system to connect to one system to another system, it needs password. So we already have authorized password set up. That's what it's called. Key exchange is exchanging the public key. Where is that at? Let me go up here. So this is happening each time here. Each time, even in a passwordless, you don't have to put in the password, but it is exchanging the keys here because you have already established a trusted relationship between two servers. If something were to change on your server or the other server, if the DNS name changed, IP address changed, then you have to set up SSH again.
Okay.
Right? Like here. In here, we were using the IP address instead of your username. So this is what happens. And now, once this is there, now you have a liberty to do all the commands you want here. So I like to see uptime. That's my favorite command here. And you see, it will go in there and check how long this server is up. Okay, so each server is giving you information here.
So are you saying that if you change the host name, even when you're going or rooting in through your IP, you still have to do the SSH all over again?
If the host name changes, yeah.
But even if you're not using the name to log in, You're using the IP still? You still have to reestablish the connection again, or no?
I didn't hear. Say that again.
So do you have to reestablish the connection even if you're going back through the IP, if you change your host name?
So if I go through IP this time, it's gonna change the name, or it will stop me, or it shouldn't stop me now that once I have already established the IP. Like this?
Yes.
If the IP change and if the host name change, you have to establish each time it changes. Once established, then no, you don't have to do it until it changes again. Oh, you said reboot? Did you say server reboot?
No.
Okay, tell me your question again.
So if the IP stays the same, but you change your host name, do you still have to reestablish the SSH connection if you're only rooting in through your IP?
No, I don't think.
Okay.
Right?
I don't know that answer. It never happened. So let's try this here. Let's try with the IP addresses here first. And let's see if it's going to give us error. Okay, see, it didn't give us error since we already has established this with IP address. And let's do with the name server, a DNS name. So the moment it changes it, either the IP or the host name changes, then you have to reestablish again. So here's the thing here. If the IP address stays the same, host name changes, then you should still be able to connect using the IP address.
Okay.
If you try to change the try to connect with the host name, then you have to establish it again. I think that's what your question is. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. As long as one stays the same, then you have to select that route.
Okay.
All right, very good question. So before I forget, so I'm gonna say okay, I'm gonna only put this much information here. You could come back here and grab it.
Do you have the recording from yesterday or no?
I have it.
Okay. Could you upload this?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
All right, I'll clean this up and then I'll put it online. So once you do this here, now I'm gonna say,
Mrs. Zafar, will it be two separate videos or just one?
probably two separate. I don't want to spend time and stitch it because I got another call right after this call.
Okay.
Another
So
call
just
after
part
that
one.
call.
Okay,
I'll
so
put a
just
date
part
on
one
it,
and part
okay?
two.
You will see the date, so that way you know.
Okay. Will it be part one and part two or just?
I'll figure it out. I'll tell you later when I upload it.
All right, cool.
Okay, here, one other thing you need to do is you have to make a DNS entries. Make entries into DNS primary. So which entry you want to make is forward.zmpt reverse.zmpt. Might as well put you var named reverse. Okay, and var named forward. Okay, these two files you have to make entries in here. And for the secondary server, it should automatically transfer over those files every so often. So if I go to cd etc var named and slaves, let's look at the timestamp here. Okay, every so often, today's 17th, yeah. So every so often is going, the masters, the DNS master is sending the updated information here. And how often is sending is the information here? It's based on this information here. Yeah, go ahead. What was the answer?
Isn't that what we changed to every 60 seconds?
Yeah, very good. So answer lies in here. Where does the answer lies? Answer lies in here. Oh, this looks corrupted, man. Why does it look so bad? Yeah, so refresh. It's refreshing every 60 seconds. All this information is based on seconds here. TTL time to live 60 seconds. And every time you make a change, you do change this here. 7, make it 8, and then exit, 7 exit. 60 seconds. So refresh rate is 60 seconds, okay? It will try after 60 seconds if something is going on, and will stop trying after this much time.
Can you ever switch back the serial number to one you already used before?
No, go back, change it one level up, one number up.
So never go back down?
No, don't do that. I never tried it, man, but why don't you try and let me know? Usually the number here is, usually it's in thousands for us. Okay? Most of the time, somebody say, I made a DNS entry, is not happening, so we go back and check the serial number. In both, you have to change the serial number both in the forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone here. The serial number on both sides should match.
Okay.
Okay, so let me exit out of here. So make host entries into DNS master. Okay, so I'm not going to put too much information here, so you get it here. Create input file with the DNS names here, right?
So with more of a larger company that already has all the majority of their DNS stuff set up, do
Yeah,
you
it's set up.
when
Almost
you're
every
work
place I went, it's already set up. What they be doing
so
is the only project you be doing is when Red Hat 7 goes away, Red Hat 8 is coming in, they'll
okay.
set up all the brand new servers and everything from the scratch. They do massive testing, make sure everything is working before they switch over.
Okay. So
Yeah.
besides that, you normally wouldn't go into the DNS much then.
You don't go into DNS unless you're making entries in here. The entries, DNS entries you'll be making is just going in there and updating this here. So if you go down here, so you'll be updating in the reverse lookup zone, you putting this line here and this line here, and in the forward lookup zone you're just putting this information here, one line at a time. And since we are only dealing with the host name, there are other kind of DNS entries in the system that is recognized by the system here. Let me bring that up. Now I'm here, so let me go into one of the other classes. It's not there, so give me 1 second here.
So those lines we inputted, the ones on the document you're showing right there in the background, that's for our service to be connected to the DNS, correct?
These ones?
Yes, all these.
Yeah, so if it has a entry, it recognizes this as a server. Okay, and if it has give me 1 second here. October 19. Okay, so these are the different type of DNS records we have. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this and so these are different types of DNS records here, right? So in here we are putting an A in here. A means it's a host name, host address. So here we put in A here and here, all these here, these are the host address here. Okay, now the second one we have is a pointer. Okay, the pointer is used for when you're putting in as the full name. Okay, you're putting full name in here, but it's pointing last octet of the IP address to the name, host name. Okay, so pointer is used only in the reverse lookup zone.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, because we already have give information here, right? We have given, where did we give the information here? We already gave the information into this file here. If you go up, okay, so this file, so this is the reverse lookup information here. So we already gave 192.168.56 dot. All it needs over here is just the last octet. Okay, so what it's gonna do is it's gonna auto fill in this information and give you the name. Okay.
Okay. No, my question was, why don't we have to put that in the forward?
Reverse is it's looking up with your name. Forward means it's looking up with your IP address. So, okay, I'll show you why. Let me save and exit. So for example, you have an IP address, right? So if you have an IP address, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do ping client 1 client 01 dot zmpt.com, right? So what is happening here is it's gonna ping using the name. Okay, so this is a forward. What if you want to find out, what if you want to use ping with the IP address?
That's the forward or that's the reverse?
So this is the forward lookup zone. And if you do it with the name, that's a reverse lookup zone.
Okay.
Okay, so what happens here is, okay, now you're providing only the IP address here. How am I going to know whose IP this belongs? So it goes in here, and then it matches this number here, and then it will get you the information.
So it matches the numbers up with the lines right above it, right?
Yeah.
So you put
Yeah, if something is messed up in here, it won't work.
Like if it doesn't have the lines right above it, the same lines that are in the forward?
Yeah, if something is missing here, it will not work.
Okay.
All right, so
So how does it know the difference when it's doing reverse for the last three if the other IP addresses also share a last three same digits? Like
The last three digits will run from 0 to 256. If you make a DNS entries here, what will happen is it's not going to be detected right away. It will take, it has to replicate on, it will, whatever we have set this as 60 seconds. After 60 seconds, it will start giving you a problem.
okay.
Okay? So DNS is very important. Why? Because application is running on multiple servers here. So one part of application is making the connection, other part is saving the data, third part is going somewhere else here. So I think I'm working on one right now.
So what would you need to do if you had more than 256 servers running?
No, you don't have to, but the IP address has to be static.
Okay.
In ideal condition, that's what the range is. So I'm working on something here. So if I show you, so I got a request here. So I need to make a server for development database and all this here, right? All these are important because on top of having the IP address, they also need the name. And it's how the connection is established and all that, okay? So IP address and name are interdependent. Okay, so that's enough of that. So let's do some magic.
So it still would work because it needs the name as well, even if the last three digits are the same.
It would work or it wouldn't work?
It would work.
For us, it doesn't matter, right? What if somebody has written what if somebody has written a code or something in there? They're using instead of using the IP address, they're using the name, right? So how would what does the code looks like here? This is not a coding class here, but I'll show you. So we have developers who is working on it, and this in here it says like go to this server and go and write it in some other directory here. So actually that's not a good example. Here's the thing here. It's possible Yeah, but if it's a DNS, no. Most of the time, the DNS and IP address is predetermined. So when you're building a server, you have to get information that who's going to be using this server, what is the name is going to be, the IP address. All these things are prerequisite before you build a server. Okay, so based on that information, you build a server here, right? Once you get the server and somebody is building an application, they would have some Linux skills and they would find out what the server is, what the hard drive is going to write to, and all that. Okay, so based on that, he will put that information in the code. So most of the time they use the fully qualified name. So in other words, this part here is called FQDN, fully qualified domain name. Okay, the name is called FQDN, fully qualified domain name. So let me put it in here.
No, my question is, so you could have thousands of servers that you're connecting, right?
Now, that server will have only one IP and one name. That's it. You cannot duplicate on the server. It's like,
No, I'm saying when you're putting in names into the DNS, the forward and the reverse to lookup, you could have thousands of servers, correct?
I put names in forward and reverse, and what else? What was the question? Forward and? So I'm putting
Reverse.
names in here. Okay, forward lookup zone, I'm putting a name here. And reverse, I'm putting the IP address here. So what was the question?
So I'm saying the list of how many servers you can, or names you can keep putting in, you could have several hundreds and thousands.
Oh,
correct?
hundreds and thousands, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying if you're doing a reverse lookup, how you said you have to put the last three digits. So if you have thousands of servers, the last three digits might sometimes be the same, right? So would the reverse lookup, the directory ever get like confused when it's
No, you keep adding numbers in here. You keep adding zones in here. You copy this information here. You continue adding zones in here. Very good question. I'm impressed, man. And in here, you continue adding more numbers in here.
Burhan, you said last three digits. Do you mean of the IP address?
Yeah, for the reverse lookup to work, you look at the last three digits. At the same time, it's hitting this file here, name.conf.
Oh, okay.
It's
because IP might be different. Like it'll be 0.57, but it might be 114 at the last three too. So
yeah, true, very true.
Oh, IP addresses can have the same last three.
If this changes, if it's other than 56, if it's 57, then it becomes a different subnet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So last three digits doesn't mean anything. It's totally different IP address.
Yeah, my question was if the last three, when you're putting in reverse lookup, you just put in the last three digits of the IP with the host name. So if you ever reverse lookup, would it ever get confused? But he said you already put them in the zones as well. So when you're putting it in the zone, are you putting the host name in there as well or no?
In resolve.conf?
Yes.
You're putting this much information here. So the hostname goes into the hostname file.
Okay.
And then in here, DNS need to hit in the resolve is more important here. At the same time, you're putting in DNS information in this file also, the network configuration file.
Okay.
So the important file is the resolve.conf. It hits this here and it knows where to go and route itself.
It automatically knows which host name it is too?
Yeah, because you're giving the IP address, right?
Yes, but with in the reverse file, you're not giving the entire IP. You're just giving the first three digits for a reverse lookup.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mm-hmm. Why it's doing it here is it's coming and gonna hit here. The name file is gonna come here and grab the Where is that at? Yeah.
In the reverse file though, it has the host name in it as well, right? Like after you put the first three, it'll read the host name after that.
Uh,
Right, Mr. Farr, if you keep going down. All the way
See
down
right
one more.
here, all
One
this is
more.
matters. What information you put in here, this is very important for reverse lookup.
Where's
Yeah,
the
but
host
how?
name though?
Yeah, well, like what Austin is saying. Like, would it read the host name?
The host name at the bottom, like in the reverse file, when you go to resolve conf, right? See, after you put the 1 5 or the 150 and the pointer, it points it to the host name, so it knows which one to go to.
Yeah.
So
That,
it'll
right?
match for that. It'll match DNS primary with
So
the
it will
DNS.
match this information from the name.conf, and then it's autofilling this part in here, and it's picking up this information here.
Like if you didn't have the correct full name, would it not match it up above?
Yeah, it will
True.
work.
It's a problem, yeah. DNS is probably one of the important files, and it is very specific how the information, the comma, the space, how they are placed in the file. Okay, it's very, very important.
So it doesn't just match it just based on the last 3 digits of the IP. It also looks at the
Oh, it
host name.
looks through all these three here. So these are very important files. A reverse, forward, name.conf, and locally it needs a resolve.conf, and very
Okay.
important name.conf. If name.conf is corrupted or something, then it's not going to work.
Okay. And PTR stands for pointer. And then what
Pointer,
is
yeah.
the IN? What does that stand for?
So A stands for the host name. So I put it in here. So where did it go? Did I close the DNS file here? Okay, so the A stands for host address. Pointer is for you will use it under when you're using the name. Okay, and then the third one is mail exchange. If you have you still, you know how the mail works, it goes through the DNS also. You have to put in the entry here just like that, and this part will change as a mail server.
Okay.
In here it will remain a entry. Okay, and let's see here, these are the other ones here. CNAME, if you have like a GoDaddy address, it will put in like an alphanumeric long number in there. So there are some information that have to have that will be registered in the DNS here. So what is exactly happening when you go to GoDaddy.com and enter your register your name, Burhan.com or something?
Yes.
What will happen is all these records are created for you.
Okay.
Let me might as well take you to my GoDaddy account and show you now that you're talking so much. GoDaddy.
So when you're doing MX, would you still be using IP or would you put something else in now? Because you're using it for email.
Similar. I don't use it often here, so MX the mail servers are only few. So let's take a look in here. What is it using?
Okay.
It's not here. Domains. in manage DNS. And here playbook syntax. I cannot find any good example. So let's try this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this. I'm going to do vi ping dot yaml. In here, I'm going to put it in what I copied here. I'm going to explain what this means is. So this part, when you have like a 3 hyphens, okay, you must have 3 hyphen for it to become YAML script. Okay, so the moment you have 3 hyphen, it will say, okay, this is a hyphen. This is a YAML script here. Okay, and this part. And if you put in a pound sign, it will comment out. So it will work just like a script. And this is the host name. Host is built-in module. Okay, and gather facts, that means it says false. So gather facts is a false here. I'll explain you what is false here, but let me here for now. Gather facts is built in. And task is built in also. It's just the language, plain English language is telling to do, okay, all host, gather false, task, what is the task I want to do? What task I want to do the task, ping task, okay? And this is also built in, right? When it comes to Ansible, I'm not teaching you everything here, guys. Believe me, you could become an Ansible professional yourself, but I thought you should know all this here because it will be really good for the job. Built-in module. Module means the heavy lifting is done by Ansible in the background. When they were writing this Ansible, somebody sat around and whatever the commands and issues you may have to face, they already have included all those scenarios into this, and it will helpful for you. So how do I run this? So what will happen is all host, this will this will read the Ansible default file. Where is the Ansible default file? etc Ansible .ansible.conf, right? Ansible, okay, hosts file. It will read the Ansible hosts file. So what will happen is when we run this, it's going to go into the host file. It's going to say all. It will read the all servers, gather facts. No, don't gather facts, just ping it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this. How do you run this? Ansible playbook. This is the command. And you have to tell ping. So remember our etc host files has only the IP addresses in there. That's why it went in there. It even have our public the assignment server. So it went in there and then went in and did the ping, and there is no other error. So it says the ping is working.
Could you give an example where you put in only one?
Only one what?
IP.
Normally you would play around with the input file here. So what you could do is the host file, you have to change. Let's go into vi etc host Ansible hosts. Okay, let's give it Chicago here. Okay, so I'm coming back to your question. Let's do Chicago only in here.
Okay.
instead of all, let's put Chicago. Before that, let me copy this in here. Guys, when you go on to work, don't be shy putting things in Google here. Everybody else is doing it. I'm doing it every day. Day in and day out, I'm putting, even when I was working for Apple, I'm using Google. In fact, everybody else at Apple was using Google. Because it's part of everybody's life now. If you don't know, you just put in Google, it shows up, and you work it up. Make sure you don't do it on production servers before you really don't copy and paste. Type it up.
So you can't directly input the IP address, you have to use a name.
I have to look it up here. I have to look it up because I mean Ansible is like it's a you could spend rest of your life writing Ansible playbooks here. So let's put Chicago, and your question is very valid here, and it should only do the 2 servers here, right? So playbook, it did only 2 servers here. Okay, so let's put in only the IP address in here and see what happens. Okay, so normally it hits client01.zmpt.com. I never tried like this before. So it's skipping, it's not taking it in here. So what you might want to do is you go back in there and you leave this part alone. You delete this part.
That file that you're using for the hosts, it doesn't have any like actual ID name, right? It just has the IPs.
It has only IPs here, yeah.
Okay, so wouldn't you have to put the number in? It wouldn't work if you put in client01.zmpt, right?
Yeah, you have to put in that specific file. So in here, I'm going to give -i and give the name of the and then I'm going to see if this is going to work.
Okay. The thing was typed IP like 192.168.56.117.
Yeah, let's try that. The host list cannot be empty, it says. So we have to go in here and hosts in here let's see, let's go back here. Okay, so yesterday we put in the IP address here, right, to come up. Did I copy that? Yesterday was a mess day, so okay, so Ansible, then the IP address, right? So we put in quotes. Excuse me. Okay, so let's do this here. So you just have to be creative, you know. If something works that way, you just have to use it, try it. 192.168.56.117. It's not working, and so what we could do is you go in here, if we put in the host name, it wasn't working. So let's do 192.168.56.117. Okay, so let me come back and see if it's gonna work. It worked.
Okay.
The host name didn't work. So why didn't the host name didn't work? Because you cannot understand English. I'm just kidding. Let's put it in quotes, okay? Client 01, that's what it is, right? Client 01
Yep.
.zmpt.com. Let's do that.
But it wouldn't work, right? Because it's not the host name is not actually in the host file, is it?
Yeah, but we single-handedly gave only one IP in here. That's why it was reading IP, right?
Yes.
So in here,
But that IP was reading from, was it? You said it's gonna always read from the etc Ansible host.
that's
right?
the default. You could override the default.
Oh, okay.
So then you put in Google, and you ask Google, Ansible playbook, input, input file. Okay, let's do that.
So you're saying whenever you put in hosts, it will just overwrite?
Where?
For the file we were just for the ping.yum. For next to host where you put client 01, that should just override it instead of looking through Ansible hosts.
Yeah, the IP was working, but the host name is not working. So there should be a way to use this.
Okay, I thought it was finding the IP once it went to the Ansible host directory and just choosing the IP you listed from that file.
That is true. That's why, but I'm not sure if this is going to work. This is actually not working right now. I want to see there is a way to make it work because it worked with IP address, right?
Yeah, because I thought the IP address is in the hosts file.
No. All right. So let's try some other IP address here. The reason it's I overrode this here when I did this. It's not reading the host file at this moment here. 192.168.56.117. It's not reading this file now at this moment because I'm overriding it.
Okay.
So it's only going to go to that ping, and then it's going to only go to that host and it's doing it. So similarly, what you have to do is in here, if I go and if I type the full path here, /root/DNS servers. Okay, and let me save and exit. Is that what the name is? DNS servers, right? DNS name servers. All this matters. Let's see if this is going to read. No, it didn't read that. Skipping no host matched. All right, what if I put in quotes? I have to give it a source, not here, somewhere else. So It didn't work either. Uh, Let me see if I could type src and if it's gonna work. So let's see. No, let's go back in there and remove.
Motion detected at your back door.
It didn't work either. So now you put in Google and see what it's gonna do for you. Okay, here. You could give the name in here also. Host mail dot okay. Ansible. So it has to come on the second line. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in here, delete this part. It had all in here, right? Instead of that, the second line is telling me to just give the name, then the colon. Tab, client 01.zmpt.com and a colon. Okay. Host. Okay, so there is a tab. I shouldn't be using tab. I shouldn't be using tab. No. The field name is supposed to be a string name. However, incoming data structure is a class. Here, hosts.
Could it not be running possibly because of the hash you have?
No, hash makes it blind, right? Here?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah. This part is blind.
Yeah, but you're writing the client 01 after the hash.
No, it doesn't matter. This part is blind. And okay, maybe I have to define it here. Okay, so I have to define it. So I have to bring up all here on the top. So I have to nest it, I think. Do I? This can be found Ansible hosts. Yeah, it's bringing back to the same place. It might not work. I'm going to put in a pound sign here and see if it's going to work. No. So I wouldn't spend too much time in there. Just if you could do it on the file, that's enough here. Normally you'll be doing the big file anyway. Host, let me get rid of this and this. Okay, and in here, what you do is, yeah, you okay, so in here you should be able to do the host file location. Okay, let's take a 5-minute break. I've forgotten about the break today. So let's take it for 5 minutes and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm back. So now, so if we go in to this file here, cat DNS names, I'm gonna put all the DNS names into Ansible host files, etc Ansible.
So currently in the host files, what's currently there?
Only the IP address.
Okay.
And now it has the DNS names also. Okay, so let's go in there and run the ping command. All this looks good to me. Ansible ping.yaml, so it should run this. Host list cannot be empty. Please check your playbook. Okay, you have to say all in here, okay?
Could you try with this time just using the host name to see?
It's using the host name now.
Yeah. No, I'm saying where you did it in the ping.yaml file where you changed host to all. Could you change it just to just the host name like client02 or 01.zfd.com?
Yeah, I thought I did that, right? IP address is working. If the IP address was working, then the host name should work too. It wasn't working last time for sure. It's working actually.
Yeah.
I
think it's
swear
because
it didn't work earlier, did it?
No, it didn't. It's because I think it is reading from the host file still. I don't think it's actually overriding when you're putting it in the host. I think it's still first going to the host file and then reading whatever you gave and then choosing that option if it's incorrect.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So it worked last time because the IP address was in there already.
Yes.
Very
Because when you
good
put
thinking.
all, just taking everything from there.
Yeah, I'm impressed. You're impressive, man. Very good. So it did read from the host file and then it filtered itself to the file name. Yeah, very good. Yes, very good. Now, what we're gonna do is let's have more fun. So we'll find a Ansible playbook and let's get rid of all the LVMs on 5 servers. Alright, let's get rid of LVMs on all 5 servers, and then what I'm gonna do is wipe them. Okay, so I'm gonna do a dd command to wipe them, okay? dd if equals, everybody remember dev0 and input file output file equals /dev/sd sdc byte size equal 1K. Okay, let's run this. I'm destroying LVMs on all the servers. Okay, all you need to do is run few times sdc sdd.
So it's deleting everything from the dev/sdd, right?
Yeah, it's wiping. It's corrupting it. SDD, SDE.
And dev/0, you said that's the location where you're.
It will write all the zeros to SDE.
Okay.
Okay, and let's do LSBLK first. We may have to restart the system. Okay, SD, did I do B? SDB, SD, okay, SDB is not necessary. SDC, SDD, SDE, I don't have F. Now, one very important thing I need to do is ETCFS tab. It's very important. If the ETCFS tab still has ETCFS tab, so when the system reboots, if it has this FS tab entries in there, then it will crash. So we need to get rid of this here. So how I'm gonna get rid of this? I need to
You said if these stay in they'll crash?
yeah, because LVM is gone, right?
Yeah, it's all gone.
Yeah. So if
Is
you
it necessary?
huh?
Is it necessary to remove the amount points where you have it set as a finance, accounting, HR, recruiting, too, or no?
Yeah, but we have to remove it from FS tab because when the system reboots, it will. Maybe we don't have to do this here. Let me just run a part probe and see what happens. Okay, and then let's do LSBLK. So the file system is still there, right? So let's do so remove line from etc fs tab. Okay, I want to a scripting solution where should remove from the server. We need to remove entry from FS tab as well. All right, I'm gonna do like a dirty way. So I'm gonna overwrite the fstab file, right? So let's cat it. Let's match this here. Look at this. For some reason, the UUID is matching for all of them. This one, can you guys eyeball it and tell me if it's matching? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna copy this part. Okay, and you could see where this is going here. So what I'm gonna do is do this here. And in here, this part, I'm gonna say echo. And I'm gonna say put this in there. And first line, I'm gonna do this here. /etc fstab. Okay, and the second one, echo etc fstab. When you're doing something like this, use the text document because it will preserve exactly the way the spaces and everything. Okay, and
Are you just going to override?
yeah, I'm gonna overwrite it. So that it's, I don't know how to just knock off the last line, the last 4 lines. So this is the dirty way to do it. And plus we are not in, don't risk anything like this in production environment, guys. Please don't do it. So in here, I'm gonna, what I copied, I'm gonna paste it in here. Okay. Uh-oh. I may have to do the single quote. Let's do the single quote. Oops.
Is there supposed to be a space between XFS and /?
It's a tab.
Oh, it's a tab. Okay.
Okay, let's cat it before we proceed. All right, it's working, guys. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the same formula here. Insert double quote, single quote. Single quote. Single quote. single quote, Control C. It worked. And the same thing. Okay, see, looks good. All of them. So now what I'm going to do is in here. So if you look at the script, you need to, what is the script doing is it's creating accounting and so here what we could do is later on we're going to use playbook, right? So let's go ahead and remove the directories also. rf-accounting. Why is it not working? Why did we get the error?
Is it because you're not showing the exact location?
No. You have to unmount the directories first.
Is it because you're not telling me?
No, you have to unmount the directories.
Oh, because you're not doing zoom out?
Yeah, if you do DFF and H, the directories are still mounted.
Yeah.
See, for that, I have a simple command here. So if you do mount-A, it should unmount it because there is nothing coming from the FS tab. Alright, now if I do DFF and H, it's unmounted. It's not unmounted.
Don't you have to do U-mount? Don't you have to do U-mount and then do the specific folder?
Let's do U-mount-A. If you're gonna crash, we're gonna crash. And you could still do mount-A. Oh man, let's look at this here. It's gonna go crazy. Client 5. Yeah, see?
Why is that?
Because I went to U-mount-A, it's unmounted everything. Even the boot drive.
Oh.
Everything in here is gonna unmount it.
Mr. Zafar, we can't unmount this specific folder.
Yeah, we could. You could. I just want to be
You were trying to do it.
Yeah, I just want to be evil. Don't do these things. These kind of things are put you in trouble. Now what we're gonna do is we'll just do the reset. It should all come back up good.
It's gonna bring everything back from the
FS tab, yes. Yes.
Nothing changed. And nothing changed in the Ansible, right? Ansible master. Only in the 5 clients.
Nah, nothing happened in Ansible master.
Okay.
See, master is still up and running. So let's do. If I do DFF and H now. So the ones which are up, it should be all clean. Okay, so the other ones are still coming up. Port 22 is messed up. So all of them are there. So now I'm gonna remove accounting.
Wait, how come it work now?
Because it loaded, see, it's not mounted here. You know why they are not mounted? Because we removed it from the FS tab. Did you get it?
Yeah.
In 3 minutes, I have to do a hard stop. We'll pick up next week, okay? So,
Mr. Zafar, I thought the commands that you ran were supposed to remove the folder from the mount. But is it because we did a restart from the server that is not working?
say that again.
You ran the command umount-a.
Yeah, umount-a, that means is unmounting every freaking thing from etcfs tab.
Oh, everything.
Everything, yeah. Unless you do like specify the name umount.
Because you use that.
Yeah.
So from the Ansible master, can we? You said that we can do it by groups and we can do it by specific server.
Yeah.
So how come the command didn't work the first time? Is it because we reset the server?
When we reset the server, then it's independent. It's so the moment I do umount-a, it went into shock and it went into emergency mode. Okay, I shouldn't have done that umount-a. I just did it for fun. I shouldn't have done that. Okay.
No, I know. But you also did RM-RF accounting and it didn't do it the first time. So why is it working now?
Because it was mounted. See, this is local server here. It was mounted, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you try to do RM-RF and accounting, it won't do it because it's mounted.
Because it's busy. Yeah.
It's busy or mounted. Same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you make it unbusy?
By using umount.
No, by resetting the server because of the FS tab?
No, just by unmounting all the everything. Just by mounting accounting.
No. He's right. I went into etcfs tab and remotely I didn't know how to knock these 4 lines off, right?
Yeah.
So what I did was I rewrote this. I rewrote 3 lines using the echo command. Okay, so if you do this here, these 4 lines were gone. If you do like a single echo and a double echo, It's gonna be a big difference, guys. I'm telling you.
Yeah. One is like adding on to one, and one.
Yeah, one overrides it.
And then the other appends it, right?
Other appends it, a double arrow, yeah. Yeah, this one here is a single arrow, right? So I started off with single arrow. That means to delete everything off first. So this, it removed, override it. Then the second arrow, I start input 2 lines in there. This one and this one. And started off where the first line was to wipe everything clean.
Yeah.
I have a question.
I was just say, can you cat FS tab real quick before, so we can see the files clean?
So it's clean. Only 3 lines are in there.
Got it. Okay.
So I have a question. So when you're doing rf/accounting, where is it deleting accounting from?
From the 5 servers.
I thought we already wiped everything from there before.
No, we tried to unmount it.
No, before unmounting, I thought we removed everything.
It wouldn't do it because it was mounted. Instead of doing, I should have done.
So
I have to clean up FS tab anyway, right? So I did that.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's still in the memory here. If I do something here,
it's still on the
if I do DFF and H here, and if I go and edit the ETCFS tab, I'm gonna mess around with the recruiting, okay? DFF and H, the recruiting is still there until it hits reboot. Then it's gonna go into shock. Or it's not gonna go into shock now because it's not even in the FS tab.
Yeah, but before we did all this, didn't we just wipe all the? You see where it has 4 gigabytes, 2 gigabytes, 6 gigabytes? Didn't we wipe all that previously?
We did LSBLK. If we still do it LSBLK, it's not gonna unmount it because it's still running from the memory.
So when you were trying to do RM-RF, that was just doing what? Removing what?
I was removing this. I am removing the directories.
Okay.
So if I remove,
Burhan, he was trying to, but it was still in the FS tab, so that's why he had to.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
so it's busy. If I do mount-A now, let's go back into. So since recruiting is not in here, if I do mount-A, over here recruiting is going to be gone because mount-A is going to go through every lines and remount everything from FS tab. Now notice the recruiting should be disappearing. It didn't. Why didn't it disappear?
Because don't you have to reboot or part pro?
Let's do part pro. Mount-A. Alright guys, I need to do a hard stop here. We'll pick it up next week, okay? I'll leave everything just like that.
I have a question before we
Yeah.
Are you going to, can you ever cover what cron judge?
Yeah, we'll do it.
Alright.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna stop.